Hey everybody, it's Saturday night, about 8:45, and just wrapping up for the evening. This is part two of Nick's Nova, Chevy 2. This thing's awesome. I figured we'll do 3 parts on this. Third one, we'll get it all done, go over some programming, and show it running and whatnot. So, start at the back. This is what we've been up to. Hoping to have this thing wrapped up middle to end of next week, I hope. Make no guarantees, so Nick, don't start driving yet. Anyway, fuel level setting unit. He's got 2 internal Walbro 450 pumps in this Aeromotive hat. So they're both wired up. We used a leash relay here to trigger from the ECU. He's got a spare out here just in case he wants to do something else on the trunk. There's 3 spares throughout the car. So anyway, contactors are all done right there. Kill switches are wired, whatnot. Inside the car, let's go over here. Start over here. So obviously it's still all apart, not done, but all the normal stuff like your dash connector, GPS connector. There's a Davis Technologies VPS tucked up here behind the dash. I already confirmed clearance and fitment with the dash that sits in here. We've got power for the GPS unit and for backup camera and whatnot. Some USB cell phone charger stuff. Here's a spare. So we did things, I'll show you from the other side too. We did this a little different here, right? So because this tunnel is removable, you can't really mount anything through the tunnel because then it's in the way. So for the transmission, in order to make the transmission easy to remove, what we did is we're going to build a little sub harness for the transmission. So there'll be these 2 connectors right here. He's got a lot of sensors. There's 2 stages of lockup, 2 stages of, or 2 different dump valves, trans brake, bunch of sensors. So we got a DTM 8-way here, a DT 6-way here for all the higher current stuff. So when he wants to pull the transmission, all he's got to do from underneath, you can do it from underneath or up top, unclick, and then we'll have all this wired up. We still have to do the trans sub harness. So basically the whole transmission electrically, you just unplug these 2 connectors and then the transmission comes out. So obviously he has to do a whole bunch more work to get the transmission out. Then we have 2 more right here. So we kind of came up with this idea because this tunnel is removable. We want to make this easy for him. So what we're going to do, I don't have the bulkhead here yet, but and I'll work with Nick and make sure that we put it in the right spot. It'll be here Monday. But I'm going to put a bulkhead coming through the carbon somewhere, okay? And in that bulkhead, it'll have one, twist lock quarter turn connector that comes up and feeds the shifter. So you think, well, why do you need a bulkhead for the shifter? Well, the shifter's got a lot of stuff on it, okay? So here's the shift solenoid. Then all the CAN wire, the 4 wires for the CAN bus for the keypad, they're gonna go through it as well. Then we have the E-stop mounted over here, okay? There we go, there we go. We have the E-stop over here. And then there's also gonna be a line lock button up here on the shifter. Plus, we have a multi-map selector switch that's going to go right here. Or not a multi-map selector switch, a 12-position dial, right, for tune-up changes. That's going to go right here. So when he pulls this shifter, the idea is, I want to make this thing as easy to work on as possible for him. So the idea is that if he has to pull this tunnel, you pull the quick pin out of here, yank, twist this off, right, or wherever we put it, right? Click, shifter flops up out of the way, put it in the seat, or wherever, put it on the floor, pull the tunnel out. So the other side of the connector is still going to be attached with wire. So that's where this comes into play. So right here, this is already pre-planned for all the wiring that's going to go through there. We're also going to put a headlight switch somewhere over here, either on the shifter. That's again going to be one of those things I work with Nick, see what he likes more. I don't really love drilling somebody's carbon fiber, but we'll do it. So we're either going to put a headlight switch through the carbon fiber and then the connections will be to that, or we put the headlight switch somewhere on the shifter. Kind of his call. I got 2 different headlight switches to look at. So we got bulkheads over here. There's EGT, there's CDI, then there's his auxiliary chassis bulkhead. Here's the high beam switch. Let's see, let's go to the other side. It's all buttoned up over on the other side. So, speaking of switches, let's stop over here for a second and take a look. So we've got two different style headlight switches. We have the standard GM one. I found one with a nice like little billet knob and stuff. So we have this set up where we could do the dome by twisting this, or we could do the dome light on the one of the buttons on the keypad. So if we use this one, Nick, we could pop a hole in your carbon, sync this through, and it'll just be disconnect that connector, you're done. And you can pull the carbon out. We could use this switch, which is a 3-position off, marker, headlights, and then you got a foot switch for high beam. This one's a little nicer looking, not as, gaudy. And again, we can cut this down so it doesn't protrude as much. It's really, which one would you rather see poking up through the carbon? That with that little billet ring and then that knob cut down, or don't worry about two of them, or that, right, sticking up for your headlights. So there's that. Whatever, we'll figure that out. We also, while I'm over here on the cart, little USB bulkhead. We're gonna put that in the dash right here, somewhere in that neighborhood. So when he wants to make a tune-up change, he can be sitting in the car, plug the USB cable in, plug it into the laptop, you're good to go. You want to change anything with the smart wire, plug it in right there, good to go. I'll put labels above and below so that you can't mix it up. These are what I was going to use for the cell phone chargers, but I haven't brought myself to want to open up the factory hole in the dash because I believe he wanted to put some switches in the dash to fill these two holes, but my thought process was right here in these holes. So you plug it in and then maybe get yourself like a little suction cup mount for your cell phone or whatever, and then you just plug it in and charge it. But again, Nick, I want your feedback on that. If you want me to fill them two holes up, I have to open them up though, so the factory switches won't go back in, and that's not a decision I want to make on my own. All right, we also today whipped up his steering wheel. So we've got the bump button, trans brake button, and Nick brought us a motion, I think they call it like monocord. So what I did was I used two buttons we had, sealed them all up, ran them up to the monocord mount, and then, this isn't exactly the way that motion would anticipate you to do it. And then what I did was we made this cable completely removable. So when he's street driving, you take this and unplug it, right? When you're racing it, you plug it in on both ends. So the mating connector for this is mounted on the column. So you just click into the column. You want to go street driving, grab a hold of this and throw it in the back seat or throw it in your bag or whatever, throw it on the floor, whatever it is, and then you have nothing that wraps up with your stuff on your column. So, okay, back inside. What do we do? So we opted to boot everything on this car because, we wanted to, and it came out really nice. So the way this works is you've got your standard Tyco Super Seal connectors. Then there's this back shell that goes on here. And then we opted to use, instead of using shrink boots like we have in the past on a bunch of cars, we use these rubber boots from ProWire. So ProWire makes these rubber boots and they're serviceable. So you can peel these off, and obviously with two hands. So this is all booted. So again, like I said in my last video, I want him to be able to not have any concerns with something getting wet. So as you can tell, there we go. The whole ECU is booted. Let me tell you, that is a lot more work than you would think that it is. But not as far as physical work, but planning. So it is a good bit of work that you have to do in order to get that accomplished. So then we've got the bulkheads over here as well. So here's his auxiliary chassis bulkhead. Here's his CDI coil bulkhead. Still forgot to change his boot. I gotta change that. That one and that one. We're gonna change them. just because they're red and they kind of stand out like a sore thumb. And we booted the CDI. Both of the CDI connectors are booted. Those are with shrink boots though. And then same thing with the smart wire. That's shrink booted as well. Because nobody makes a boot that actually goes over top of those amp seal connectors. So that's all done, all wrapped up. And we also did his engine harness. So there's the engine harness bulkhead. It's dead center of the car. So I got a question from one of our customers the other day. He bought a bulkhead connector from us, like a bulkhead connector kit. He bought one of our Pro Wiring harness kits. And he's like, I was about to drill a hole in my firewall and I didn't know what to do. And he knew how to drill a hole. That wasn't really the question. The question was like, how do you make the hole look nice? So when you do one of these bulkheads, there's a 4-bolt flange that's on the mating connector. There we go. So there's a 4-bolt flange on there, and you want to keep the 4-bolt flange on the back side of the connector, or on the back side of the firewall, so that you can make it serviceable. And then they come with what we call a nut plate. So all it is a little piece of metal that's got 4 nuts in it that match this pattern, right? So the problem with it is that it's very difficult to get that hole to look good, because most of the time these cars are already painted, right? So I figured I'd point this out for any of you guys that work on lots of stuff. These are a worthwhile investment, especially if you drill holes in sheet metal. Blair hole cutter. So there's another one out there. I have them both. This one's called a Rotacut. And I have a bunch of additional ones of this. This is like their their master kit or whatever. These work good, but you see there's no shoulder on this. What I mean by shoulder is this. See that shoulder right there? So this cuts like a perfect hole. And if you're doing sheet metal, it stops right there at that shoulder so you don't go plowing through and into whatever's behind there, right? So if you use Seals-It grommets, like the 3-inch Seals-It grommets, 2¼ inch hole cutter is perfect for them. They recess down in there perfect. This is the right size, 2¼ inch. It does not come with the kit. If you are going to use one of our 55 pin mil-spec connectors, 1 7/16 is absolutely perfect for it. And then those battery bulkheads that we sell and we use, a 15/16 is perfect for that as well. So just a little tech tip, I guess, if you will. They're not super expensive, but I'll be honest, we've been using these same ones for a long time and they've been, you know, living a great life. If you drop them though, they break. So it still cuts. It's just it's broken. Anyway, so we did his engine harness and I'm pretty happy with how it came out. I opted to use some Raychem 202A132A boots on the bottom of DT6 connectors that goes into the rifle blocks. And then, you know, that's a shrink boot as well. It's all sealed. Still have one connection I forgot to make here. This is the intake air temp. I just have to make the mating side of this. But anyway, 16 injectors. They're split. They're all labeled. So like this is injector 6B. This is injector 6, right? So you got injector 6 and then injector 6B. Shouldn't be able to mix them up. So B's are on the top, B's are big. B for the big ones, right? So this thing is surprisingly very tight to work on. I guess I shouldn't say surprisingly, but anyway, here's the other side of the bulkheads. So I still have to do a little bit of tidying over here, but you get the gist of it. So this is the other side of it. Your O2 sensor's in here. Then here's your CDI coils. The goal here was to be able to service this thing easily, pull everything out of the car if you wanted to, put it in a box, let it sit for a year, and then be able to figure out how to screw it all back together nice and easy. So the coils, if you wanted to take the whole coil rack off, it's literally, you take that off, that one, and boom, you take off the whole coil rack. So coils are all done. Engine harness sneaks up underneath of the intake manifold. And then it comes up here. Here's like TPS. And we've got cam. Little note for people. A lot of people go into belt drives and whatnot. It may not look great, but it's functional. So we typically leave this style connector on. Normally we'd change it, like on my personal car, it's changed over to Deutsch, but like the customers don't always have the tooling to do that kind of stuff. So this is the factory connector from Holley. And the reason we leave that on is that if he ever has a problem with a cam sensor, he can just swap it out. But if you notice, I've got a little zip tie ran through, yeah, you can see it right there, through the locking tab. So this thing cannot come unlocked. Also, I'm pointing out with a belt drive, zip tie this thing in 2 spots so that nothing can get sucked down into that belt drive. Seen that happen before. So the MetroPack connectors aren't the greatest in the world, but they serve a really good purpose for this application. So something that was also a little bit cumbersome was, and Nick, when you ever take this engine out of the car, cut the motor plate a little bit right there. So what we did is we used a thread bushing. So it's a 3/8 thread, but you couldn't thread a 3/8 bolt in here. So this is a 3/8 exterior thread to a 1/4 inch thread. And then we used a button head cap screw to get our cylinder head ground. Here, this cylinder head has got a 7/16 thread in it. So I had some 3/8 to 1/4, so I ordered some 7/16 to 1/4 because it's the same deal. The head of the bolt was hitting the top of this right there. So maybe just notch those if you ever take the engine out of the car. So anyway, it's getting all wrapped up. It's looking pretty good in my opinion. So soon we will be firing this thing off, and it'll be part 3 of this video series. So, oh, we put a bunch of lights under here. So some LED lights there. The plugs are going to be kind of difficult to get to. You're going to have to get to them from underneath. So the way Justin does it in his Chevelle, because he has up and forward headers as well, is he'll jack the car up and take the wheel off, and then he can just come in from where the wheel is. And it's super easy once you get the wheel off. So we opted to put some lights here and some lights. They're going to be hard to see. You probably can't see them, but they're on this bar, that vertical bar right there, pointing back towards the spark plugs. So there's 2 on either side. So if he has to do plug changes at night or something, it's a little easier to get to, or a little easier to see. So yeah, there's the side of, there you go, there's the side of one of them, right? So anyway, yeah, should be firing this thing up soon. So thanks for checking it out. See ya.